In a quiet neighborhood on the edge of a small American town, a single mother named Maria woke up every morning before the sun. While most houses were still dark and silent, the light in her tiny kitchen was already on. She would stand there, tired but determined, packing lunches and planning another long day of work, but behind that quiet determination was a struggle that no one around her truly saw. Maria was working harder than she ever had in her life, yet every month felt like walking on the edge of a cliff. One unexpected bill, one broken appliance, one missed paycheck, and everything she had built for her two children could collapse. What she didn't know was that the kindness of strangers was already beginning to change her story. Before we continue, if you enjoy uplifting stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be, make sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Welcome to Kindness Story Hub, where real stories of compassion and humanity bring people together. Maria had moved to the town of Cedar Grove 3 years earlier after her divorce. Starting over wasn't easy. She had two children, 8-year-old Lucas and 5-year-old Emma, and a mountain of responsibilities on her shoulders. Her days followed a strict routine. At 5 a.m., she woke up, got dressed quietly, and started the coffee maker. By 5:30, she packed lunches and prepared breakfast. At 6 o'clock, she gently woke the kids, helping them get ready for school. By 6:45, they were all out the door. Maria worked 2 jobs. During the day, she cleaned offices downtown. In the evenings, she worked at a grocery store stocking shelves. Most nights she didn't get home until after 10 p.m. The work was exhausting, but Maria never complained. Every night when she tucked her kids into bed, she reminded them of the same thing. Things might be hard right now, she would say softly, but we're going to be okay. Lucas believed her completely. Emma would hug her and whisper, "You're the best mom ever." Those small moments were what kept Maria going. Still, life had a way of testing her strength. One cold November morning, Maria walked outside to start her car for work, but the engine wouldn't turn over. She tried again, nothing. Her heart sank. The car was old, and she knew repairs would cost money she simply didn't have. Without the car, she couldn't get to her jobs easily. Public transportation barely reached her part of town that day. She had to walk Lucas and Emma nearly 2 miles to school before rushing to catch a bus across town. She arrived at work late, cold, and embarrassed, but Maria kept going. For the next 2 weeks, she walked almost everywhere. She never asked anyone for help, but sometimes kindness begins with someone simply noticing. At the grocery store where Maria worked evenings, a coworker named Jake had quietly observed her situation. Jake was in his early 20s and worked part-time while attending community college. One night during break, he asked gently, "Hey Maria, I noticed you've been walking lately. Everything okay?" Maria smiled politely. "My car's just acting up," she said. "I'll figure it out." Jake nodded, but something about her voice made him realize the situation was bigger than she wanted to admit. The next day, Jake shared Maria's story with the store manager, Mrs. Thompson. Mrs. Thompson had worked in Cedar Grove for over 20 years. She knew almost everyone in town. When Jake finished explaining, Mrs. Thompson leaned back in her chair quietly. Then she said something simple, "We can help." She posted a short message on the town's community bulletin board and social media page. It wasn't dramatic or emotional. Just honest. Single mother in our community working 2 jobs needs help repairing her car so she can keep supporting her kids. If anyone can help, please reach out. At first, the response was slow. Then something unexpected happened. The kindness started spreading. A local mechanic named Robert commented first. He offered to inspect the car for free. Then a woman named Sarah offered to donate spare car parts from her husband's old vehicle. Someone else offered rides for Maria and her kids if needed. Within 2 days, the small post had been shared hundreds of times, but Maria knew none of this. She was still walking through cold mornings, holding Emma's hand while Lucas carried his backpack beside them. One afternoon, as Maria finished her shift at the grocery store, Mrs. Thompson approached her with a warm smile. "Maria," she said, how would you feel about letting someone look at your car? Maria hesitated. I really can't afford repairs right now, she admitted quietly. Mrs. Thompson shook her head. You won't need to. The next morning, Maria watched in disbelief as Robert the mechanic stood in her driveway examining the car. Neighbors she had barely spoken to were standing nearby, chatting and smiling. Robert opened the hood and checked a few things. Well, he said after a moment, the good news is it's fixable. Maria swallowed nervously. And the cost? She asked. Robert grinned. Already taken care of. Maria blinked in confusion. What do you mean? That's when Mrs. Thompson explained. The community had raised money to cover the repairs. Some people donated $10. Some donated $50. One anonymous donor paid for new tires. Maria covered her mouth with her hands as tears filled her eyes. I don't know what to say, she whispered. For the first time in months, the heavy weight she had been carrying felt a little lighter. But the kindness didn't stop there. A local bakery began leaving extra bread and pastries for Maria to take home at the end of the week. The school counselor quietly arranged for Lucas and Emma to receive free after-school tutoring and activities. One neighbor even helped Maria fix a leaking pipe in her apartment. Little by little, her world began to change, and the most beautiful part, Maria never asked for any of it. One evening, after a long day, Maria picked up Lucas and Emma from school. As they walked to the newly repaired car, Lucas asked, Mom, why are people being so nice to us? Maria paused before answering. She looked around the parking lot where parents were chatting and kids were laughing. Then she smiled softly. Because kindness spreads, she said. When one person starts it, others follow. Lucas thought about that carefully. So, if we help people too, the kindness keeps going? Maria nodded. That's exactly how it works. The following weekend, Maria decided to do something small. She baked a batch of homemade cookies and brought them to Robert's auto shop as a thank you. Robert laughed when she handed him the box. You didn't have to do that, he said. Maria smiled. I know, she replied. But kindness deserves kindness. Over the next few months, Maria slowly stabilized her life. With the car working again, she no longer had to spend hours walking or waiting for buses. That extra time meant more moments with her children, more dinners together, more bedtime stories, more laughter. But Maria never forgot what the community had done for her. Whenever she saw someone struggling, a neighbor carrying groceries, a tired parent at school pickup, or a coworker having a rough day, she tried to help in small ways. Because now she understood something deeply important: kindness doesn't need to be huge to change a life. Sometimes it's a ride to school, sometimes it's fixing a car, sometimes it's simply noticing someone who feels invisible. Months later, Cedar Grove held its annual town picnic. Families gathered in the park with blankets, music, and food. Maria sat on the grass with Lucas and Emma, watching them run and play with their friends. Jake walked over holding 2 lemonade cups. Hard to believe how much has changed, he said, handing her one. Maria smiled as she looked around at the people who had quietly helped her family. You know, she said softly, I thought I was alone when I came to this town. Jake shook his head. Not anymore. Maria nodded. Not anymore, because sometimes the strongest safety net isn't money or luck. Sometimes it's people who choose kindness, people who care enough to step forward, people who remind us that even in difficult moments, we are never truly alone. And that's the beautiful truth about kindness. It grows, it spreads, it multiplies. One small act can ripple through an entire community and come back in ways no one expects. So if this story touched your heart, remember this: somewhere around you today, someone might be quietly fighting a battle you can't see. A smile, a helping hand, or a simple moment of understanding might be exactly what they need, because when kindness begins with one person, it has the power to change countless lives. And who knows, the next act of kindness that changes the world might begin with you.